Every civilization begins with a single decision. Every empire that has ever existed rose because of a choice. When we look back at the grand tapestry of human achievement, we're really just looking at thousands upon thousands of moments where someone chose one path instead of another. But what if the world we know today, the sprawling cities we live in, the very structures of our daily lives, was actually built on a monumental mistake?
And I'm not talking about a blunder made by some ancient king. I'm not talking about a miscalculation by a brilliant scientist or a bad call by a legendary general. I am talking about a mistake made by ordinary humans thousands of years ago. A mistake so powerful and so deeply rooted in the soil of our past that it permanently altered how we live, how we fight, and how we build the future. In this explainer, we're going to unpack the story of the mistake that changed human history forever.
Chapter 1. Before the Mistake, 200,000 Years of Freedom.
For more than 200,000 years, we lived exclusively as nomadic hunter-gatherers, moving in perfect rhythm with whatever nature demanded of us. We followed the great herds of animals, and we collected seasonal plants. Just look at the sheer scale of this timeline. That vast expanse is the overwhelming majority of our entire existence as a species. Then, a mere 12,000 years ago, the agricultural revolution happens. And literally just a fraction of a second later on this evolutionary clock, we suddenly have modern civilization. It was an incredibly sudden, jarring shift for humanity.
Before agriculture hit the scene, our ancestors didn't own land. They didn't build permanent cities or draw borders on a map. Back then, wealth was measured purely by survival knowledge, knowing exactly where hidden water existed or which specific plants could heal a wound. But post-agriculture, we see a complete inversion. Suddenly, wealth becomes entirely about property, land, and borders. Now, early life was undoubtedly difficult, but in that difficult, propertyless existence, humans possessed something incredibly rare. They had ultimate freedom.
Chapter 2. The Great Change, the Illusion of Security.
Around 12,000 years ago, in the Fertile Crescents of the world, humans made a massive discovery. They found out they could actually create food rather than endlessly searching for it. And the momentum of this discovery was absolutely staggering. At first, agriculture seemed like the greatest invention in human history. More food simply meant more people. That led directly to step 1, the establishment of permanent villages. As those communities expand, we get step 2, towns. The momentum doesn't stop there, scaling rapidly into step 3, cities. Finally, those cities consolidate their power, their culture, and their resources to become step 4, entirely new civilizations. It was a rhythmic, seemingly miraculous march of human progress.
But hidden deep inside this incredible, world-altering revolution was a devastating trap.
Chapter 3. The Mistake. The Trap of Dependence.
You see, the mistake wasn't the physical act of planting a seed. The mistake was the profound, almost arrogant belief that by controlling nature, humanity could make itself completely secure. We traded a robust, incredibly diverse hunter-gatherer buffet for massive quantities of just a few fragile plants. Entire societies became completely dependent on wheat, rice, or corn. And the terrifying reality of this trade-off is that a single plant disease could now destroy an entire harvest. A single seasonal drought could literally wipe an entire civilization off the map.
Which leads us to this pretty powerful realization. Humans gained control over food, but they completely lost control over their freedom. We became permanently chained to the fields, entirely reliant on the unpredictable whims of the weather just to keep those few sustaining crops alive. It is the ultimate, profound irony of the agricultural revolution.
Chapter 4. The Price of Civilization, Surplus and Inequality.
Farming created something that human beings had never truly experienced in their previous 200,000 years of existence. It created surplus. And having extra food kicked off an unstoppable chain reaction. Step 1. Surplus food naturally leads to step 2. Population growth. Extra food means extra people. And because not everyone has to spend their entire day hunting or gathering anymore, you get step 3, job specialization. People can do other things now. Some become builders, some soldiers, and crucially, some become rulers, which leads directly to step 4, social inequality. For the very first time in human history, an entrenched, rigid social hierarchy was born.
Now, these early cities became incredibly powerful engines of human progress, absolutely, but they came with a heavy toll. As it turns out, inventing the city also meant inventing the plague. We saw the rise of mass disease born purely from humans living in tight, crowded spaces right alongside animals. We saw the dawn of endless war as borders were drawn up and land actually became something worth killing for. We saw the intense concentration of resources in the hands of a select few, while the vast majority labored out in the fields just to survive. Fierce, unforgiving societal competition became the dual nature of our brand new reality.
Chapter 5. The Unexpected Consequence. The Foundation of the Modern World. Now, to be completely fair, we have to acknowledge the full picture here. Without this monumental shift, there would be no universities, there'd be no advanced technology, no modern medicine to cure those diseases we just talked about. But the very same choice that gave us those incredible heights also birthed our greatest existential challenges. Environmental destruction as we clear more land and burn through resources, deep systemic social inequality that echoes those earliest days of surplus distribution, and an ongoing relentless battle between humans and the natural world. The ancient choice that gave us the modern world also gave us the very struggles that threatened to end it.
Chapter 6. Was it really a mistake? The price of progress.
When we look back at the origins of our society, it's so easy to judge. But can we truly blame our ancestors for simply trying to survive? There's a saying that perfectly captures this. Every generation makes choices with limited knowledge. That very first hunter who pushed a seed into the dirt wasn't plotting to invent endless war or trying to engineer social inequality. They were just trying to make sure their family wouldn't starve through the coming winter.
And I think that brings us to the core historical lesson we need to take away from all this. Every solution creates new problems. Progress is never free. Every invention, every major shift in how we live carries profound, unintended consequences. The agricultural revolution taught us that the biggest changes in history don't always come from grand military victories or some master design. Sometimes they come from very small decisions whose massive consequences absolutely nobody could have predicted.
Because history isn't only shaped by what humans do intentionally, it's shaped heavily by the unintended consequences of our greatest successes. Every step forward has a price. So, I'll leave you with this question to ponder today. What is ours? As we push relentlessly forward with artificial intelligence, genetic engineering, and whatever else comes next, what small, seemingly brilliant choices are we making today that will become the grand history or the catastrophic mistakes of tomorrow? Something to think about.